Do you want to know how to pay your zakat? Do you have an idea and you want confirmation? Have you asked around you and no one really knows? If you answered yes to one of these questions, you are in the right place for answers. Welcome to Zikr. We share content and informations regarding our journey as Muslims. Today we will talk about what is zakat and how a Muslim should pay it within Islamic rules. Make sure to watch until the end to get the full details you need to know to have a full and clear understanding on zakat and its rights. Zakat is an obligatory form of almsgiving or charitable giving in Islam. It is one of the 5 pillars of Islam, along with Shahada, Salah, fasting, and Hajj. Zakat is derived from the Arabic word zakah, which means purification or growth. In Islamic teachings, zakat serves multiple purposes, including social welfare, redistribution of wealth, and spiritual purification. It is viewed as a means of sharing one's wealth with those less fortunate and fulfilling a religious duty to support the community. The primary objectives of zakat can be summarized as follows: social welfare. Zakat aims to alleviate poverty and provide support to the poor, needy, and vulnerable members of society. It helps ensure that basic needs, such as food, clothing, shelter, education, and healthcare, are met for those who are unable to afford them. Redistribution of wealth. Zakat promotes equity by redistributing God's generosity upon the affluent members of society to the less privileged. It helps bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, fostering social cohesion and solidarity within the community. Spiritual purification. Zakat is considered a form of worship and spiritual purification in Islam. By giving a portion of their wealth as zakat, Muslims demonstrate their gratitude to Allah and acknowledge that all wealth ultimately belongs to Him. It serves as a means of purifying one's soul from greed, selfishness, and materialism. There are 2 types of zakat, each one targeting a specific goal as follows. Zakat al-mal, the zakat on wealth. This is the first type of zakat. It is mandatory on various types of wealth specified in Islamic teachings. We will focus on this type on the remaining part on this video. Zakat al-Fitr, the zakat of Ramadan. It is a special form of charity given during the month of Ramadan. It is a duty for every Muslim, regardless of wealth, and is meant to purify fasting flaws. It can be given as food items or their monetary equivalent and distributed to the needy. This zakat is due before Eid prayer. Let's do some math. Calculating zakat al-mal involves determining the minimum amount of wealth eligible and then deduct a portion of it to pay zakat. This follows 3 steps. Step 1. Know the nisab. Nisab is the minimum threshold of wealth or assets one must possess before being obligated to pay zakat. It's typically based on the value of gold or silver. At the time of this video, 2024, the nisab for gold is equivalent to the value of 87.48 grams of gold or its equivalent in money, and for silver, it's 612.36 grams, or its equivalent in money. Please check the current value of gold or silver in your local currency or market to determine the nisab, which applies to your situation. In step 2, identify eligible wealth in terms of assets or sources of wealth concerned by zakat. Usual assets or wealth eligible for zakat include: Number 1, cash and savings, like cash on hand, money in bank accounts, checking, savings, and other accounts, certificates of deposits, and cash equivalents. Number 2, gold and silver, including jewelry, coins, bars, and any other forms of gold and silver owned. Number 3, investments like investments in stocks, bonds, mutual funds, exchange-traded funds known as ETFs, and other securities. Number 4, business profits from the profits earned from businesses, partnerships, and investments in commercial ventures. Number 5, rental income generated from rental properties, real estate investments, land, and other rental assets. Number 6, livestock, depending on specific criteria and the number of animals owned. Number 7, agricultural produce, depending on the type of crops grown and overall yield. Number 8, income and salary. For this one, zakat is not directly paid on income or salary, but rather in savings made from that income which meet the nisab threshold for a full lunar year in the Hijri calendar. Number 9, retirement accounts such as 401k, IRA, and pension funds if they meet the nisab. Please note that zakat is calculated on the net value of eligible assets after deducting any outstanding debts, expenses, or liabilities. Despite common belief, zakat is a yearly payment. It is due on wealth that has been held for a full lunar year on the Hijri calendar if it meets the nisab threshold. Please remember that zakat is not owed on assets. A Muslim doesn't use to create wealth, but solely to live a decent life and provide for his family, such as ornamental jewelry for women, living house, land, car, furniture, or working equipment. Zakat is also prohibited from assets earned on haram stuff and illegally, and on money destined to live or to repay a debt. Now, the step 3 is to calculate the total value of all the eligible assets you own. Regroup all the eligible assets you have based on criterias we just talked about and calculate their global value. Deduct all debts or liabilities from the total value of these assets to obtain the net value of your wealth. Zakat rate in Islamic rule is fixed at 2.5% of net value assets. For example, your assets are of $12,000 value and your liabilities are of $2,000 value. Your net value is $12,000 minus $2,000, which makes $10,000. Multiply this 10,000 by 0.025, like this, 10,000.025 equals 250. So the amount of zakat you should pay at the end of the lunar year will be $250 or its equivalent value. This applies on money or every other assets. Step 4. Paying your zakat al-mal. Now you have know the amount of zakat you owe, you can pay it to those eligible to receive it. In Islam, zakat is intended to benefit specific categories of recipients, which are the following: the poor, al-fuqara, individuals who are in a state of poverty and are unable to meet their basic needs, such as food, clothing, and shelter; the needy, al-masakin, which are people who are struggling financially to pay their basic bills; debtors, al-gharamin, who struggle to repay their debts. Those administering zakat, amalan have the right to take a small part of the zakat. There are collecting on behalf of people. Those whose hearts are to be reconciled, al-mu'allafatu qulubuhum. Groups whose hearts are to be reconciled towards Islam or towards the Muslim community, or those in need of support to strengthen their faith. Those in Baal Rakab, for those held in slavery, in bondage or servitude. The wayfarer al-sabil, travelers who are stranded or in need of assistance. If they need help them return to their homes or fulfill their basic needs while traveling. Muslims are encouraged to give zakat locally to support their communities, although it can also be given to reputable charitable organizations or zakat funds that distribute it on behalf of donors. Zakat should be given discreetly and with sincerity, without expecting anything in return, as it is a form of worship and charity in Islam. Step 5. Keep records. Maintain records of your zakat payments for your own reference and for accountability purposes. If you're still doubting about what you should, seek guidance from Allah. He will guide you to the knowledgeable individuals who will help you fulfill your duty properly. We hope we brought you some help regarding how to pay zakat. Consider subscribing for more content. Assalamu alaikum, and see you next time.